Welcome to Boot Dusseldorf. Allow me to introduce you to the next legend in sports day boating, the Axopar 38. So beginning on the bow of this Axopar 38, you can see they've translated a lot of what the Axopar 29 came out. They've made this forward area the most modular it can be. So you have lots of options that you can do up here. As you can see here, we've got the U-shape arrangement, and like the 29, this is a table that can sit in two positions and go up or down. So you can either fill in this area here, or you can use it as a leg rest off of this beautiful bench back here. You can also do away with all of this, and in the future there will be a sun pad option here with beautiful storage underneath. The nice thing about this area is they've placed these backrests perfectly. Just forward you've got access to the anchor locker like on the 29 through the cup holder here, access to your chain windlass, and there's extra storage down there. Talking about storage, under each of these modules you've got a beautiful amount of storage. This is about 2 foot deep. You can put fenders, anything wet, there's a drain back here. It's a perfect place for any gear you need up on the bow. Storage again under these two areas. And you'll notice there's a lot of fittings up here. So we've got our forward sunshade fittings. You can cover this whole area for shade, which is very important in the tropical climates of Australia, as well as these beautiful new Burnwind fittings. When we take you to the back there, you'll see that you have lots of options in terms of barbecues on this boat off the rail. And this Burnwind fitting, you can fit it in there, or you can fit other accessories like rod holders. As we move back to essentially the top of the gull wing doors, you're going to notice that there's a huge amount more space in front of the windscreen here. You can probably lie 3 people across here, lounging of an afternoon. Underneath here, which we'll show you, is probably what Axopar are most proud of. There's a very beautiful angular design across the front of here, which these upholstery cushions recess perfectly into. But what is under here, there's a lot of windows which create natural light into that cabin when you don't have these lounging cushions on. You can see this steps up here, that creates extra headroom down the cabin. I'm told it's 1.8 meters down below. And now we're going to step down into probably one of the biggest upgrades on this new Axopar 38, the forward cabin. This area is emulating what the 45 does. And this boat in general, it feels like a step down from the Axopar 45 rather than a step up from the Axopar 37. Now that I'm down here, we can turn this into full seating very easily. And this is a beautiful place to get out of the sun in the Australian climate. Down here, relax, read a book, and get away from the kids playing on the back. One of the beautiful things about this forward backrest is this is what creates your bed. And what you'll notice here is this whole boat has been given an extra 20 centimeters of beam, and Axopar have done away with the side storage that you would have had on the Axopar 37. So this is a really beamy bow cabin, and it is the perfect place to overnight. Just to show you how easy it is to exit this forward cabin, we've got one step and a second step just on magnets here, very strong magnets, but that pulls out and we can be back up on deck within seconds. Now what you might have noticed there when I was opening that is Axopar have added all of these beautiful little touches. Cross cabin here, and there's a little A logo on the handle to push the gull wing up. A lovely little option for this boat that it's not present here at the moment, but we have a table that inserts into this area. Now increasingly we see in our market that people are using their boats more as their offices, and this would be a great place to spend the afternoon and get out some emails. From an aesthetics point of view, this cabin has been elevated from the previous Axopar 37. Everything is plush, the fine detail is more throughout, and best of all, the increased headroom. We've got a 5'8" clearance of the head in the tallest part of the cabin. You know, not everyone's going to be able to walk around like I can, but it's a lot higher than the previous one. Moving forward, another huge client feedback led improvement to this boat is this galley area that we have here. Now you can see we've got a sink and optional stove down here, and you have a huge amount of storage down below. These storage drawers easily accessible but on robust latches. We've got an option to have a drawer style fridge down here, which is ideal for this area, and you can also put a microwave in here. it already has power set up to it. There is another option down here. You can turn this into more of a traveler package, and when you do that, you still get a sink, a narrow sink on this side, but you fill this in with a cupboard, which is great for storing your clothes and whatnot for overnighters. Something I really like, and it's to do with Axopar really thinking things through, is we used to see the fuse board on the 37s in the toilet compartment, or it would be up here on this open layout. They've discreetly put it away behind this beautiful panel. It's away, it's discreet, it doesn't interrupt the eye. It's a nice feature. On the starboard side here, we can see we've got a separated toilet, and it's a wet room shower. One of the beautiful features that they've done on this boat, which actually firstly gives privacy if people are up front, and access to the toilet from this side for your guests and whatnot, is this partition door which connects just over to this side, and you've got a curtain that pulls across for extra privacy. Something that's actually just struck me, this is only the second time aboard this boat, is the refinement in this toilet area. This is like a luxury hotel suite bathroom. Toilet and shower wet room. There's a beautiful freestanding basin. You've got storage above the sink, below the sink, and that toilet is covered by a seat, which makes it a great place to sit down shower. Now going up to my favorite area of the boat, the business section. Aesthetically, this is my favorite feature on the boat. Take a look at the beauty of that custom dash. This green color is standard, but the ergonomic improvements they've made here, they're fantastic. Before we dive into that, it's worth noting this new sliding door. This gives you that increasing natural light in that forward cabin. You have light entry from every direction. You can see why this is my favorite part. Axopar do this so well, their custom dashes. If you look at many other boats, mounting buttons on perspex and whatnot, it's fine, but it's not this. This is next level. And the ergonomics that control it, they're otherworldly. As always, on my left hand, I've got all of my auxiliary items. These are lights, bilge pumps, and separated off horn, very important. Just below that, we've got our wipers. It's good to have those separated when we're doing long passages offshore. Now this wiper system is now connected to the main water tank, so you never have to worry about those small reservoirs going empty. You just got to make sure your water's filled. Being set up to drive here, I've got everything I need at my fingertips. Trim tabs just here, so I can keep a hand on the wheel and control them. Bow thruster for simple maneuvering. On the right hand side, an improvement I think is that they brought the VHF up, so you're not reaching for it down here if you should ever need it. It's right in front of you, you can see it's there. And probably what our clients want the most, we've got this beautiful phone charger, and the way it's set up, it can mean that you can use it even as a third screen or control your Spotify off of that. You can see on this boat we've also got the joystick. This really is a beautiful position to be helming the boat and piloting. Joystick at fingertips. I'm not moving to control anything here. Trim of engines, engine start. Even if we're turning the keys manually, I barely have to lean over for those. Something you can't see from this angle, but they've put all of your remote battery switches down on the starboard side here. So easy reach when you jump on the boat. You can flick them on quickly. The boat is almost designed sequentially, so we've stepped on board for our day out on the water. We've come up here, unlocked the side, batteries are right in front of you, and then you're stepping in, engines down, ignition on, lines away, and off you go. Something that Axopar is very, very good at is making sure that if you are short or single-handed on these boats, you have the most important things at your fingertips here. One of them being your midships cleat to get your first line on. Next to that, fuel filler cap. It means the captain is there close to the helm if he needs to do anything when refueling. It's firstly an ideal setup for first-time boaters, but secondly, the most experienced boaters in the world have Axopars because of this ergonomic setup that they have. Another lovely feature of this helm area is just you have this beautiful pocket down here. So there's actually quite a big space down there, so you can put your covers for your navigation or any auxiliary gear that you need being up here at the helm. That's a perfect spot for it. Looking at the seats up here, the helm and the passenger seat, We're used to these seats from Axopar. They're really comfortable seats. They've got the bolsters, so you have many different seating positions when you're driving, if you want to be high or low, or, you know, really hugged by the seat. Something that a lot of owners will like to see is unencumbered twisting of these seats. They're really fitted in exactly the right position that you can do that without them interfering with one another. It's worth pointing out we've got the ski pole on this boat. This is a great place for an observer to sit if you're, you know, towing someone behind. This bench seat is an option, and this supports turning this area into essentially a two-person cabin. So this boat, the lovely thing about the 38 is it can be a four-person sleeper without optioning up an aft cabin. The next most important improvement on this boat is space. They've only increased the boat's length by a foot, they've increased the beam by 20 centimeters, but the internal space they've allocated to this boat is a real game changer. You can see when I'm moving around how freely I'm doing so. I can't emphasize enough how much more space you have in this boat in comparison to the 37. It's even created this extra seating area. We can have 2 or 3, maybe kids wise, at the front, 2 forward facing here, and up to 4 forward facing at the back. So this is a people carrier SUV of the sea. This area for dining inside is highly improved. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 people sat around inside on this model. That you can put this seat all the way down, meaning you can really butt up against the side of the boat. There's so much beam here. And something it's been asked for over and over again, but to add more ventilation on this boat, add anchor, and to connect the inside to the outside, we've got this beautiful new opening window on the aft. This actually changes everything. Not only are we now going to get airflow in through the doors and out the back here, but it connects this whole section of the boat. No longer do you have one area here, one area at the back. Now you've got this voluminous indoor-outdoor connected space. It's going to be a very social boat on the water. It's all about the finer detail with Axopar, and whilst I'm sat here, I've discovered that you've got charging on both sides. We've got plugs, USBs and USB-Cs on both sides of this aft section of the pilot house. On the port hand side there, you can see we've got this new option of they call it the bar, but essentially it's additional storage for your cups and your drinks below. That's a great little feature for extra capacity on board. Now the largest improvement of this entire area would be this section here. I spoke before already about being able to sleep 4 aboard, even without the aft cabin. Let's take a look at that. And if you're concerned about length here, don't. This is 7'2". Now before we move back and show you the sides and aft of this boat, point out a few features on the way out. Large fridge here and internal bin. This fridge is the second fridge that we looked at. Hypothetically, this boat can be optioned up with 4. Now as we move back, even with the increased pilot house beam, you can see because the whole boat is increased by 20 centimeters, we haven't lost any walkway here. And typical of Axopar, they've kept all these beautiful handholds around the boat. Now the side rail was recessed beautifully. That keeps the lines of the boat beautiful. If you see this thing passing at 45 knots, it's an impressive thing to behold. It's worth noting all these curves that they've put into the roof. There's design behind this. You come out of here, you've got excellent headroom, and it just flows and pushes you back towards the back of the boat. As you know, this model now has the activity platforms on the side, and this area becomes a new modular section of the boat. You'll see on the other side we've got a new seat that we'll show you. Here we have the port side wet bar. So inside here we've got your third fridge. That's a beautifully deep fridge, sink and second bin. We've got our transom shower mounted beautifully inside here. That means you don't interrupt any of these beautiful curves throughout the boat. We talked about these fittings on the bow, but these Berman fittings, you've got a Magma gas barbecue option that you can put on the side. So when you catch a kingy on the harbour, you can cook it straight away. Now back here, we've got a lot more modular options. We can see on this particular boat, we've got the aft cabin, and they've carried features across from the 29 on this. This now is an aft opening cabin. The beauty of this aft cabin on this boat is it isn't just an aft cabin. It is voluminous down there. I'd probably say it's a king size. You've got new ventilation. You can see portholes either side. And like on the 45s, you've now got this 180 window at the back, which means you can be looking out into natural light. But utility-wise, stepping onto this boat to start the day, this is where you chuck all your gear so you can be out on the water quickly. Now there's a lot more options that you can go for back here. One that's going to be particularly popular in Australia, we believe, will be the wet bar setup, which carries over from the 37. Now we've clearly got the aft wet bar on this boat. You'll notice that it's actually floating. That gives you easy access into these floor lockers to store anything you need, your water sports toys or whatnot down there. Simple catch to open the wet bar. And we've got a sink and a fridge under here like we did on the previous 37. Something that we love, and it's a small feature but it's an important one, is they've given you a bin back here, which is just such a small thing but it's so important, and additional storage. A couple other small but not so obvious features. You've got the twin fishing rod holders on this boat, and we've got further options coming on this aft deck. You will have the U-shape arrangement, which can be a outside table converted into a sunbed. Because we've already spoken about it, on this boat you have sleeping for 4 without this, so why not have some outside dining? Something that I love about this boat, and it's come from our own feedback in Australia, is Australia actually has its thumbprint on this boat now. You can see the decking throughout. This is an Evercore decking, which is part polymer, part cork, and it is beautiful, and it's not going to be susceptible to the shrinkage that other EV foams can see in the Australian climate. It's all about the detail on this boat, and whilst I'm here, it's worth noting that these aft swim platforms are increased in size from the previous 37 by at least 6 inches, and small items, an extra handhold to get out of the water from with these water ski frames. Just look how robust this is. This is actually a piece of art if you look at the turns and curves within this structure for towing your mates out on the water. So on the 38, we currently have 2 engine packages. You can have the twin 300 V8s, or you can have these 350 V10s. Now this Axopar 38 is actually roughly optioned up about 600 kilos heavier than its predecessor, the Axopar 37. But this boat is hitting top speeds in excess of 48 knots, and it's doing so in a robust and footed manner. All the feedback we've had from the guys that have tested the boat already in Helsinki is that it feels so sure-footed on the water. You can throw it into more. It's a rugged, robust boat. Another improvement that we can see from Axopar on this model is the mast that carries your radar, FLIR cameras, spotlights, that type of thing. Now, in Australia, sometimes we have to take the mast down when going under bridges in Gold Coast, for instance, and that can be simply done. It's just 2 wing nuts that you undo by hand, no tools required, and it folds 180 degrees back, so you're going to get the boat down to this height here. Also very good for transporting the boat around the country like a lot of our clients do seasonally. More options on this boat. I think Jan-Erik actually says that there are over 900 configurations you can make up out of all of the customizations on board this boat. This is the wing seat, let's call it, and underneath you've still got storage for your fenders and lines. Now it should be noted, you can have one of these, you can have none of these, you can have 2 of them. It's all about how you want to use the boat, but this is probably my favorite place to sit on the boat. It's the most comfortable forward-facing seat on the boat, and you're so connected. We've got the area here where your friends are going to be, but also we've got immediate connection with the inside of the pilot house for the first time on an Axopar. It's a beautiful feeling back here. And lastly, let's talk about probably the most anticipated feature on this boat, Axopar's new activity platforms. Now Axopar, like everything they do, they've done this right. These have a theoretical weight threshold of up to 3 tons, and they've positioned them high enough off the waterline that they don't get impacted by things like ferry wash or surface chop when you're at anchor. Now you'll see a lot of other brands that do this, that do them much lower to the water, and those boats, they can be susceptible to swamp or the platforms actually being picked up by chop. But these are raised up, they're for activity, and when you see this boat in the water, what you'll see is this is actually the perfect height to just slip into a small dinghy tender. Also, just mounting a paddleboard off these activity platforms is very simple to do. Another thing that Axopar does incredibly well with any feature on board the boat is there is simplicity in design. Now, you could complicate these with big actuators that they're constantly being battered by salt water, but this, like the 45s, is just on a friction hinge system, and that makes it incredibly easy to retract or place the platform back out. Very clever design. Thank you for joining us on our first ever walkthrough of the Axopar 38 XC. This boat isn't just an evolution of its previous models, it's setting a new benchmark. I'm Russell Ayres from Eyachts, Australia and New Zealand. Please like and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.